But yes, this is by far the worst region to navigate in regards to any of the regions in Final Fantasy XIV 1.23. And honestly, I don't think there is much that they could have done to fix it other than a complete region rework. And it's one of the areas that I think A Realm Reborn has done well in regards to its objective of making a more playable game. What they did with the Shroud area is definitely much better than what I'm currently in. You could argue, that all this gives it a little bit of identity, but if you want its identity to be a nightmarish, confusing mess, then yeah, that's fine. But at least you can navigate the Shroud fairly straightforward in A Realm Reborn. In this, as you're seeing with me, every couple of minutes I'm having to pull up the map, find myself on the map, and then look at where I'm going and try and ascertain what's going on. But here we go. We're getting back to the main city, so I can start going south. Bum ba dum bum. Sorry, I just like that sound. So what's the first camp? Birch Beach. And that should be... Darn it, damn you, A Realm Reborn, making me think that my map button is on X when X is that. Right, so through here. So, if you was a new person to 1.0 or 1.x, this would actually probably be your first place you'd ever visit outside the Shroud. This would be the equivalent of the level 5 camp. Quite neatly tucked away, and then from there you'd have sort of this exit, and you'd probably end up just killing little things around here every once in a while. Going back and repeating, because the way the leveling system was, doing levy quests was one of the best ways of getting solo experience, because they didn't have these hunting logs and things like that. So you'd go get a levy, come out, do the levy, go back, turn them in, pick up some more levies from there, and that's kind of how it'd work. You'd go from one camp to the other as you needed for levy quests for your level. So, as I've been trundling in the corridors of Doom for quite a while, you notice that over there's a red dot on the map. I'm trying not to open the map to let people see exactly what we're aiming for, but after navigating all of this, I fancy a change. So, here we go. Gonna go to somewhere that's a little bit different. God, I really got to work on my build-up, so I've got to start saying stuff like that at about this point, haven't I? So we head up this direction, heading toward the lovely red dot. Okay, let's try this again, because I lost the footage of when I first went in here. So this is Tamtara, which obviously there is a dungeon instance following the exact same name of this, only in this game it was an underground system that you could actually explore. As you can see down here, we've got an option to be able to go down further. And just like in areas in Korthas, you'd find people leveling in here, find people gathering. It was quite an interesting little area to go into. I think the first port of call is going to be going to the location where the crystal used to be. Yep, which is down here and to the left. Yes, this way. I think this is how I did it before. But as you can see, the design that they used is very much similar to the dungeon that's currently in A Realm Reborn. Oh, no, wrong way. It's just round here if I don't get stuck on geometry. And in here would be the room with your crystal, though it's behind a door. I think for safety reasons, because like the mobs in this area were fairly packed, so they kind of wanted to use the doorway as a limit in regards to where the mobs could actually not go, to try and make that a safe room. Say your safe word. Yes, something like that. But if we come down in this general direction, this is quite a large, extensive place, as you can see, with all the little rooms going off in little directions. But I want to kind of stick to the most important bits. So obviously we have this giant tree, and down there you can see another floor, and that's where we're going to be heading toward next. Try that circle room at the far end. I doubt that we can get in, but we can have a look. Because the bane of my existence in this game is going to be doors. They're going to be my impossible to gauge enemies that I will not be able to get past. There is a nudge command that I could use to nudge myself 5 yards past a door. I would prefer to test that not during recording, because that would be an interesting way of getting through doors and being able to show a little bit more of what was going on. But at the same time, I'm also very much afraid of breaking the entire thing. Yeah, I thought so. But I think a quest objective for storyline was in that room. But don't quote me on that. I've slept a lot in the last 8 years since this game was live. Still amazing how much of this thing stays in your memory. So we're going to head back to the circle room so we can pilot our way down to the southern end of this map, so I can show you the level underneath this. But as you can see, for an area in the game, this is quite large in itself, and it doesn't really have any of the issues that you have in regards to long, thin corridors of zoning. I think because these are so small, they get away with shorter ones that you just follow for a little bit and it unloads and reloads. That's what I think is going on here, but because of the size, it's nothing. I mean, I personally think this is probably actually bigger than the dungeon that's in 2.0 now. Okay, so let's check each branch down here whilst we're here. So, duck off in this direction. See if there's anything special about it. In here we have open room. Yep. That looks like it was an altar, some gravestones. I mean, there's some fantastic assets in this game. It would be silly for the 2.0 team not to use them. But they felt, I think they didn't want to overuse them, because they might get accused of the copy, cut and paste. But in a location like this, I think it kind of works. Because it would be a situation of this thing would get hollowed out over time. Oh no, that's not the right way. Wanna be going this way. That's dead end. Let's see what's over here. Oh, this is open, which is nice. I always worry that, you know, I go in and I'm going to trigger something that's going to cause a door to actually close behind me. But yeah, this distinctly has a look and a feel of a current boss zone. Yeah. That it does. So moving back on, we come round here. And we go north a bit, and we get back to the circular room with the tree. And as stated, we was up there previously. Probably going to be best way to work this way round the room and see what's closed off. So up, let's move the mouse out of the way. And through here, nothing particularly in there. Another door that's gating progress. I may have a little play with the nudge command before the next streaming session. I had a little go with another command, but didn't quite pan out how I hoped, which was frustrating. Because that would have been ever so much better for getting around the place. And then, yep, we're gated again with another door. Last place, I definitely know that this place is gated because this location right at the bottom was definitely used in the main storyline. One of the reasons that you had to come to this location. There's kind of like 2 of these on each major region that were in some sort of labyrinth like this. Yep, gated. And that's basically the way that it would work, is you'd have to work your way all the way down to the bottom. Further you go down and in, the harder the mobs, the tighter cluster the mobs would be. It's like you'd have all your leveling people up the top and gathering, but this was more mainly designed for the questers. That's generally what they would put down in the lower sections. Definitely looking forward to exploring more of these in the future. Because I definitely know of 2 more, I think. But yeah, should be fun. So here we go. This little process is probably being used to unload what we just came out of, whilst at the same time load what we're just coming into. and get ready to be able to load the actual overworld at the same time. In regards to heading back, let's see if we can make another route. We can. We should be able to go round to the left and just have a peek through sort of the edge of the southern and eastern locations. See if there's anything else noteworthy in here. I think this is where we need to go up, but whilst we get doors, gotta love them. And continue this way. What we got down here, it's only going to be a small room. Yep, as I thought. So let's keep going in this direction. You gated? You're not gated. Variation on the rooms before. I'm sort of trying to do research in between streams as well to try and improve my knowledge base of 1.0 and its development, and you know, I'm getting there, hoping to be able to drop more and more nuggets of how things got to the way that they was. But they're fairly big topics, and considering that I'm coming up to the end of this little segment, I think it's not a great time to be going into such heavy topics. So you'll probably find these topics scattered through the videos that I do and the streams. Obviously what I upload to YouTube is going to be, I'm going to try and edit it, but also keep as much as I can. But it is certainly, like with this zone, I'm going to be having to do a lot of editing just because there is a lot of backtracking through one-way systems, as to say, as not as in one way can only go one way, but in the actual design of it, there's only one location that you can go through between two locations, so it makes backtracking a nightmare without using teleports. But yes, can definitely see the influence this had on a certain dungeon, and I'm glad that I got to be able to show you it. I was worried that, you know, that'd be all gated off, but no, we could go in, which was nice. And then we come back to the overworld and back to the video or stream that I was doing before. Right, what's going to be the best way? The best way is probably going to be investigate this area, then have a look down here, even though you can kind of already see. The thing that I'm curious about though is that lake there. That looks interesting, because I would like to make it out that direction. So I think we come out and we go in this direction. Just need a drink. Try and not bop the microphone stand whilst I put it back on the table. We can all hope. I do hope that, and I said this before, and if any of the people from Project Meteor is watching, I don't really... It would be nice to experience combat, but it's not a priority. Interacting with NPCs isn't a priority for me. My priority would be gaining access to an inn and being able to look at the book, because in 2.0 there's a book, and if you go to it you can replay any cutscene in a game and it'll use your current character with their current equips. So I would actually like to just be able to make a series where I just go through the cutscenes of the quests and get the entire story online, because the way that 14 now currently handles it is everyone's forgotten. And I do understand the entire idea that they think that this... Yeah, if you can believe it, they said, right, one of the reasons they was closing down Final Fantasy XIV Online is because they thought it had permanently damaged the reputation and name of the Final Fantasy series. Whilst for me, I'd argue they did that with Final Fantasy 13, which is the game engine that this is using. Interesting that, isn't it? But I also know some people do actually like 13, so I've probably upset some people now. Other than that, it's an interesting story. You can't really turn around and look at many games or many MMOs that have delivered a story narrative for a lore reason for why the server's getting shut down. Just so they could rebuild the game and improve it. But yet at the same time, they don't want to... They've done it, and in the eyes of Square Enix, because it is financially viable and it's making them money, it is working. It has saved Final Fantasy XIV. But some of the interesting writing that you have in A Realm Reborn started with the end of this game. And I just wish that that could be acknowledged. Like, there's a character in 2.0 which is an over-the-top guy dressed in a suit that's a detective, Haldeman, and he's got an entire funny little series, once you hit level 50, of quests that you can do for him, and it's like watching slapstick comedy cutscenes and so forth. Well, he was first introduced in the 1.23 server editions in the build-up to the Meteor. And the last time that you see him in a quest line, he basically gets fired at the moon, and I kid you not. So I'm actually curious for an in-lore reason for how he got out of that entire situation. Just here would be where the crystal would be for this location. And we should be just about wrapping up on this half of the central shroud. Go straight down and then take a right. That should work. Dun dun dun. There's my bridge. That's just what I was after. Yeah, there was a notorious monster that spawned here. I I think it was about level 42, and I worked out how to solo it on my gladiator. So I kind of would kill that because it dropped a nice sword that I could exchange for points in the free company. So what I'd do is I'd go kill that, then I'd come over here and start fishing. And then when I figured the timer was up in regards to the respawn, I would then just go back and wait for the monster to reappear, and then I'd give it another good old smacking until I got the drops that I wanted off of it, and then I'd go to the free company, exchange them for points, and then come back and do the same. I know, not very exciting, but you know, it's the Shroud. I kinda tried avoiding this location like the plague. Right, so we're going to be coming across another hamlet as we continue southward, heading toward South Shroud. Well, that's not too bad, that little bit there. It is interesting the fact that I don't have as many memories of these locations. In comparison to Yadar, in my head, I could still see what Yadar was like. But this area, yeah. In Yadar, because it is nice, wide and open, you could easily see people. Whilst in this location, you'd only see someone if they're A, stopped, or B, they're going in the opposite direction. Occasionally you'd see people fighting, or gathering, or fishing, but that was passing because in those instances you was probably going past them. Always got the feeling that people didn't really do things here unless they really had to.